Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 49 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit and crochet, and get into all kinds of other crafty shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, January 23rd. I always have to check. Today is Saturday, January 23rd, 2021, and it's late in the afternoon. Yeah, it's getting on to 10 to 5, so it's getting a little bit darker here. I'm hoping the light's still okay, but we are getting closer to the time when the sun's going to start heading down soon. I'm going to lose what little bit of light I have left. I was dawdling with other things today and didn't get this done earlier. Oh well. So if you're a new viewer, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy it here. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another week to see what I've been up to and to see what kind of knitting and crocheting I've been up to in the past week and what I've accomplished. So without further ado, let's take a look at my whips. There's 4 of them to take a look at today. Oh, before I get to my whips, I'm drinking a cup of tea. It's loose tea. I picked it up yesterday. The hubby and I were out exploring a nearby town, just poking in a few shops, went out for lunch, and then poked in a few shops, and I found a couple things. One of the things I bought was about 3 different kinds of loose tea. This one is a High Dragon blend. And it's really good. It's a black tea. It has little flavorings of Earl Grey and jasmine. It's just the prettiest looking tea. I don't know if you can see inside there. It's got these gorgeous little bluish purple leaves. I have no idea what they are, but it's a really nice tea. It's a very mild flavor. It's not overly jasmine-y. Is that a word? I'm not a huge fan of jasmine tea. It's a little too perfumey. To me, it almost tastes like perfume. But anyways, if it's mixed with some other things, I like it. But straight up jasmine is not my favorite. So anyways, this is not a tea drinking podcast. It just has a little bit of tea drinking conversation at the beginning usually, because I'm typically always have a cup of tea on the go. So it's a nice dark tea. Yeah, and you can taste just a hint of it's got a little more of an Earl Grey type of flavor than a jasmine flavor. So it's nice. I'm really enjoying this. And I have 2 others. I picked up 3 packets. They were $2 a piece, so I thought I'll easily get, it said there are 10 cup samples, so I'll easily get 10 cups or more out of each of the bags. So if I remember, hopefully I will sample one of the other ones for you guys next week and the week after. So as I said just a minute ago, let's get on and look at my whips this week. So I've got my 3 ongoing ones that I had last week, plus a new cast on that I had mentioned and talked about likely starting for this week. So spoiler alert, I did. I started another one. So come here, you. So here's where I am with my Mitten Garland Advent Calendar. It's by Kathy Lewinsky, and I'm moving along nicely on mitten number 2. So as I've mentioned in previous episodes, I'm working on this with a group of friends online, and we are doing a year-long knit-along, and we're working our way through all 24 of the Mitten Garland Advent Calendar mittens in this set. So we'll do all 24 mittens. Each one will take us 2 weeks. So when I'm back next week, this one will be finished, and I will have just the first little itty bitty part done of the second mitten, or the third mitten. So here's my progress on mitten number 2. I still have all my tails that need to be tucked in later on. It's a cute little pattern. I'm using 2.25 millimeter needles, or US size 1, and I'm using Knit Picks palette yarn. And I'm using mostly scraps, little bits and bobs of Knit Picks palette yarn that I have in my stash. The colors I'm going to be using are mostly going to be in reds, tans, or this brown, this pale yellow, and white will probably be my main colors. I might do some greens, we'll see. But those will be the basic colors that I'll be using on these. So, got some half decent progress on this one. So this is the first week and a little bit on here. And I've got the rest of the coming up the fingers and the thumb left to do on these ones. So by next week, this number 2 will be finished, and I will have just the very beginnings of number 3 going. Put him there. Work in progress number 2 is my Granny Stripes blanket by Lucy of Attic 24. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook for this, which is a Canadian size that is midway between a G and an H. There's the charts I was looking at, it doesn't show a direct size conversion from a 4.5 millimeter to this one, or to US sizes. And I'm using random fingering weight scraps. They are pretty much almost every one of the scraps I'm using are from socks I've made in the past. Some are scraps from some shawls, but they're all fingering weight yarn. So in the past week, I made a lot of progress again. I am honestly hoping that this will be finished in the next couple weeks. It is coming along really well. So here's my progress from last week. So I was right at the end of this black and bright. So I've added over a foot, or about a foot, from here up to this pink. So again, it's a lot of progress I'm making on this each week. So here's the whole thing. It's folded in 4 in terms of width, but it's getting quite long. There we go, we can kind of see it. That might make a wild cover or thumbnail. So it's coming along quite nicely. And as I said, I'm hoping I can have it done in the next couple weeks. It's basically this pattern, or this project, is my evening in front of the TV with the hubby project. It's completely, for me, it's completely mindless to do. I can typically look ahead at the screen and I'm crocheting away. I really don't have to watch what I'm doing. So it's a fantastic TV watching and movie watching project. So that one is seeing quite a bit of love. I've only cast it on, I forget exactly which day, but it was in the beginning of January. Might have been the 1st or 2nd of January when I cast it on. But I've only been working on it for a few weeks, and 3 or 4 weeks, and it's going along really quickly. I'm thinking right now I'll probably do it till it's close to 6 feet long. Because I want to have it so that I can snuggle under it while I'm watching TV. It's fantastic. I love working on it while we're watching TV in the evenings, because it drapes all the way down. It's across my front. It drapes all the way down my lap, all the way down my legs to the floor. And so it's nice and warm to work under. I'm really enjoying being underneath it while I'm working on it. But I do want to have it so that it will be a good length to put on a single or twin size bed, or just to have over myself. My husband can have his own Afghan as mine. So he's been eyeing it up. It's not his. I've made him plenty of Afghans. He paws off that one. That's mine. But anyway, poor guy. But that one is going to be for me, perhaps as a throw to have in bed or on the couch, but and so for that I want the extra length so that I can be fully covered from head to toe. So I can be completely covered with none of my things poking out the ends. It'll probably be folded down a bit while I'm using it, while I'm sitting in a chair watching TV in the evening, because that's the plan for where it'll live most of the time and what its general use is going to be. But I do want it to be the right size to fit on a bed, a single size bed, when I'm finished with it. So those are my granny stripes, or that is my granny stripe blanket. So as I was saying, I'm really hoping I'll have it done in the next couple weeks. Like you saw, I've got probably about a foot or so. Whoops. Ambulance. Anyway, so it's really coming along. And I think that's where my train of thought was going before the ambulance went by. I'm making a lot of progress on it, and I really am hoping I can have it complete in the next couple weeks. So hopefully it'll be a finished object soon. So that's my second work in progress that I've been working on every evening except one. I've worked on it every single evening this past week except one evening. Last night I worked on something else, which I will show you in just a few minutes. My third work in progress is my Demiaka Lopa sweater, or my flea cardigan by Peniguri. And for this one I'm using 2.75 and a 3mm needle. The 2.75 was for the ribbing around what will be the collar, and it will be for the cuffs. So it's the 3mm or US 2.5 that I'm using for the bulk of the body of the sweater. I'm using whole super soft yarn in 6 different colors. So the main colors are silver gray and cobalt are my two. These will be the bulk of the body of the sweater. Will be done in silver gray and almost got away, and cobalt, the blue. That'll be the little specks in there, and the gray will be the main color. I also used on the yoke and the color work, I also used indigo, pineapple, robin's egg, and breeze are the other ones. And I cast this on January 2nd, and I'm making good progress on it. I am very happy to announce that I have FLEAS. I have got to the point where all the color work portion on the yoke is done. And now I have FLEAS. Hey, my FLEAS. I've got FLEAS. I never thought I'd be happy to say I have fleas. But I've got to the part now where the color work on the yoke is complete, and I'm now working on the body of the sweater. I still have not got to the point where I will separate for the body and the armholes. So I still have to go, I'll have to measure it and see, but it's not long enough to separate across the shoulder and where I would separate for the armhole. It's not long enough yet. So I will continue. Oh crap. Hang on. I knew this was going to happen. The stitches are escaping on me. I thought that might happen as I was fiddling around with this to show it to you. Okay, we're good. I caught them. There was only 4 that escaped off the needle. So, where was I? Lost my train of thought. So it's not long enough along the body. The yoke part, the color work on the yoke is complete, and then you work down for a while in just in my case, in the gray and the silver gray and the cobalt. You work that for a certain amount of length, and then you put a handful of stitches for each arm onto separate holders, and then you'll be back down to a smaller number of stitches to continue working down the body, and then come back and pick up and complete the sleeves. So I have fleas. I've got the first finished off, the last of the color work on the yoke, and I've done 1 row with the fleas. So the fleas are going to alternate. Right now you can see they're here, so the next time I add, the flea will be in between these, so they'll alternate back and forth. So it's going to be an all over flea pattern on the body in the cobalt, the blue color. So it's moving along nicely. I'm suspecting it's going to start moving along a little bit more quickly now that you do 3 rows in the gray, and then you do 1 row with the fleece, then 3 rows of solid gray stockinette, then 1 row with the flea color work pattern. So you continue on that way, and then once you separate for the sleeves, I'll have quite a few less stitches on the needle. So going around is going to get a lot quicker once I get to the point where I separate for the armholes. So by next week, here's hoping that I've got the sleeves separated and onto waist yarn, and that I'm working well down the body of the sweater. So we shall see. Last week I was hoping I would have the yoke color work portion complete. I do have that part complete. Now next week I'm hoping, or by next week I'm hoping to have got to the armhole separation, and that I'm working down the body by then. So we shall see. Come back next week and see how far I did get along with my flea cardigan. But in general, I'm very happy to announce I have fleas. I'm so happy to be onto that part of the sweater. So that's my third whip. My final work in progress is a brand new cast on, and I need a haircut again, or I need my bangs trimmed again. I haven't seen a hairdresser since last February. It's getting pretty long and scraggly. But I need to trim my bangs again. Anyway, that's another tangent. So last week I had mentioned that I was itching to get back to designing socks. And I was also saying that I had several little swatches done of stitch patterns that I wanted to adapt into sock patterns. And what my goal is, I'm hoping that I can get the momentum and get going and do one each month for all of 2021. I'm not sure if I'll be able to maintain that pace, especially with Sock Madness coming along in March and April. We'll see. So I've started the first design. I don't have a name for it yet. And I have, the majority of the leg is complete. All of these designs are going to be relatively unisex designs so that they'll be suitable for men or women. They won't be lacy or frilly kind of socks. They'll be basic designs that you can use for anyone, male or female. So the first one, my January socks, are underway now. So the leg, I think I'm going to leave it at a little bit of a shorter leg. It's easy. I just poked myself in the mouth with the needle. Oh, Karen. So it's easy enough to make this a shorty sock or to add more repeats. It's just an eight row repeat in here. 8 rows? Yes, 8. 6 stitches across to give you the repeats this way, 8 rows to give you the repeats this way. So it's a very straightforward, relatively simple stitch pattern. But that's where we're at right now with that. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do the leg a little bit longer or if I will just get started on the heel flap and gusset. It will be, for this design, it will be a standard slip stitch heel flap, standard gusset decreases, and continuing on with the same design going down the foot. So there we have it, the first of my unisex monthly sock designs. So here's hoping I can keep up the pace and end up with 12 new sock patterns over the course of 2021. We shall see. I might try to get some of them done early because with Sock Madness, I'll be very preoccupied with that, and all my other whips are going to be put to the wayside while I work on the Sock Madness patterns. So those are all my whips for the week, all my projects. I've had some decent progress on all of my projects this week. I'm happy with my progress on all of my projects this week. I hope to have the equivalent amount to show you guys next week. Hopefully within a couple weeks, the new sock pattern will be done. Hopefully in a week, a little over. It might not. No. It might be done by next week. It might be done. I'd like to get it done by the end of next week, so it is done in January. Yeah, I'd like to do it that way, so it is complete in January. The granny stripe, I'm also hoping will be done within the next few weeks. That might slow down a little bit as I continue to work on the sock design. We'll see. So that should come along nicely. My little advent mitten sees 5 rows added every single day, so that we'll see progress. That one I tend to work on in the morning while I'm sipping a cup of tea and scrolling through some things on my social media stuff. And yeah, Demiekalopa I tend to work on during the day, although that one, it might be getting a little bit more challenging now because I have 3 projects that are excellent for watching TV, knitting, or crafting. The Granny Stripes is fantastic for watching TV with. Demieka Lopa is now at the stage where I can easily do that for TV knitting. When I was doing the color work on the yoke, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have been very good for TV knitting for me. Now it's at the stage where it's good for TV knitting. And the socks also are, for me, good for TV knitting. Although, well, come back next week and see what I got done. Let's just leave it at that. Come back next week and we'll see what progress I have. So what else is news around here? We're back at work. We're back to school. University opened up again, or classes began this past Tuesday. So I'm back to my teaching. I'm back to responding to student emails. Starting Monday morning, I'm going to be back to grading. My least favorite part. So I've been busy with that, getting things for school and work back on track, getting back into that rhythm of teaching, and all of that is remote. I've opted this semester to teach from home and to have my classes done remotely. My husband has asthma, so I really don't want to be exposing myself and by default then him to the potential of increasing our risk of getting sick. So I've opted to teach remotely again this semester, just so that we minimize our out and about time. So I'm pretty much a homebody. Other than us going out yesterday afternoon for lunch and then just to explore a couple shops, it's been really quiet. There's nothing new. I have been sort of binge watching old episodes of a show called Time Team. And a lot of the old episodes, they started in the 90s and the show ran for, I think, 20 years. I think the last season was in 2013. It started in 93. And they've been, someone, I'm assuming it's the producers or those that were involved with the show, have been re-uploading high-def episodes, the old episodes, putting them up onto YouTube. So I've been watching several of those episodes in the last couple weeks. The whole show is looking at archaeology throughout the UK. And I have a huge fascination with archaeology. When I first was in university, that was one of the fields I wanted to. I took several courses in anthropology courses, and it was one of my initial majors until I ended up switching over to what I do now. But it's always been a fascination of mine. And watching these shows have just been amazing. So I've been watching I think the YouTube channel is called Time Team Classics, or Time Team Classic. But I've been going through watching a bunch of the episodes. They're an hour episode, less commercial time, so they're between 45 and 50-minute episodes. So I tend to get a bunch of schoolwork done, and then I treat myself and I watch an episode and knit. So that's been my little guilty pleasure the past few weeks, is knitting and watching archaeological digs on YouTube. It's fun. Keeps me out of trouble. So otherwise, I don't think I have anything else to talk about. I should get going. It's getting closer to time to think about what to do about supper. So I should get going on that. I'll get the editing done, and then while that's processing, I can go forage in the kitchen. So that about sums it up for the week. I thank you so much for spending some time with me. If you have not yet done so, I would love it if you would like the channel, subscribe to the channel, ring the little notification bell. Is it down there? I never know where that is. Ring the little notification bell so you know when I post a new video. And take care, everyone, and I will see you again in a week. Bye now.